Virgo. Before we begin, I want to take one moment with this community, to those who keep showing up here, who trust this space with the parts of themselves that are still unresolved, still burning, still searching for the right words to describe what they are feeling. I see you, and I am grateful you are here. To those arriving for the first time today, something very specific pulled you to this title. Something in those words lit something up in you. Do not question that. Stay inside it, because what is coming through in this reading today is unlike anything I have brought forward in this space before. It is darker, more electric, more dangerous in the best possible sense of that word, and it is completely, entirely yours. Let me set the scene. Because this reading does not begin in softness. It does not begin in the gentle unfolding of something tender and cautiously hopeful. It begins exactly where the energy begins, in shadow, in watchfulness, in the particular quality of tension that exists between two people who recognize each other instantly and completely and are not yet sure what to do with that recognition. I see a room dimly lit, the kind of lighting that is not accidental, that was chosen deliberately for what it conceals as much as for what it reveals. And in this room, on opposite sides of a space that feels charged from wall to wall, there are two presences, not two ordinary people, two forces, and the air between them is doing something unusual. It is not still, it is moving in the way that air moves before something significant happens, before the atmosphere shifts, before the thing that has been building invisibly finally decides to make itself visible. Both of these forces know the other is there. Both have known from the very first moment, and neither has moved yet. Let me describe the first presence, the one that is not you. I see a figure standing at the edge of the light rather than inside it. Not hiding, exactly. Present, fully present, but occupying the threshold between visible and not visible with the particular ease of someone who has spent a significant portion of their life understanding that power does not announce itself, that the most potent position is often the one from which you can see everything while revealing only what you choose to reveal. This person watches not with the passive quality of someone who observes because they have nothing better to do, with the focused, deliberate, completely intentional quality of someone who has identified something worth their full attention and has decided, privately and without announcement, to give it. That something is you. And the watching is not casual. It is not the kind of noticing that fades as the moment passes. What I see in this figure's energy is something that has been building in them since the first time they encountered you. Steadily, quietly, with the particular patience of someone who understands that the things worth having are worth waiting for, worth watching, worth understanding fully before making a move. They have been studying you, the way you move, the way you think, the way you hold yourself in rooms where other people are performing and you distinctly are not, the way your intelligence operates, not loudly, not for an audience, but precisely, incisively, in ways that most people in the room miss entirely, but that this person has not missed once. Now, let me describe the second presence. And this one, Virgo, is you. I see a figure who occupies their space in a way that is completely without apology, not aggressively, not loudly, with the particular kind of quiet authority that cannot be taught or performed or strategically adopted because it comes entirely from the inside, From someone who has moved through enough to know exactly who they are and has stopped requiring external confirmation of that knowing. You are not trying to be seen in this image. You are simply being fully in the complete and undiminished reality of who you are. And that being, that unperformed, unself-conscious, entirely genuine inhabiting of your own presence is the most magnetic thing in the room. I want you to sit with that for a moment before we continue. Because I think one of the things that most surprises people about Virgo energy when they finally encounter it at full strength is that it does not look like what they expected magnetism to look like. It is not flamboyant. It is not constructed for maximum visibility. It is quieter than that, more contained, more precise. And precisely because of that containment, precisely because of that quality of depth held close rather than broadcast outward, it pulls powerfully, irresistibly, in a way that more obvious kinds of magnetism simply cannot replicate. And the person watching you from the edge of the light is feeling that pull in a way that is, by their own private admission, more intense than they were prepared for. There is an image that keeps surfacing in this reading, and I want to describe it carefully because it carries something essential about the dynamic between these two energies. I see a chessboard, not a game in progress between casual players, a game being played by two people who are both independently and simultaneously 3 moves ahead of what is visible on the board, both thinking in dimensions that the surface of the game does not fully reveal, both aware, in some unspoken way, that the other is doing the same thing. And here is what makes this image so specific and so striking. Neither player is in a hurry. There is no impatience in this game, no desperate reaching for an advantage, no clumsy overreach born of wanting to end the tension too quickly. Both figures are sitting with the board between them in the particular quality of stillness that belongs to people who understand that the quality of a move matters infinitely more than the speed of it. This is the dance between you and this person. Two intelligences that recognized each other immediately and have been engaged in a conversation that has not yet fully spoken itself out loud. A conversation happening in glances and in the specific quality of attention and in the things that are deliberately not said, which carry as much weight as anything that is. I want to address the good or bad baby energy of this reading directly because I think it deserves to be spoken about honestly. There is a particular kind of person who asks that question, who frames the dynamic in those terms, who is drawn to you precisely because they cannot fully read you, because you do not resolve neatly into the categories they are accustomed to placing people in, because there is something in you that refuses to be simplified into either the safe choice or the predictable one. They are asking because they genuinely do not know. And they genuinely do not know because you are genuinely both. You are the most precise, the most careful, the most quietly disciplined person in most rooms you enter. The one who thinks before they speak, who observes before they act, who holds their standards with a consistency that most people find either deeply admirable or slightly unnerving, depending on whether those standards are being applied to them. And you are also, underneath all of that precision and carefulness and quiet discipline, completely, dangerously alive. There is a fire in you that most people never get close enough to feel, that you do not display casually or distribute freely, that you guard with the same care you bring to everything else you value. And that very guardedness that sense that the fire exists and is real but is not for everyone, not for the careless or the uncommitted or the ones who are not paying sufficient attention, is exactly what has this person losing sleep. They want to be the one you let close enough to feel it. Let me describe something else I am seeing because it shifts the reading into a more specific territory. I see hands, and these hands are doing something deliberate, moving something carefully from one position to another, arranging, adjusting, with the kind of focused intentionality that belongs to someone who is actively, strategically creating conditions, not by accident, not spontaneously. This person is engineering proximity to you, not clumsily, not in ways that are immediately obvious, with the particular sophistication of someone who understands that direct pursuit of certain things creates resistance, and that the more elegant approach is to arrange circumstances in which the thing you want moves naturally in your direction. They are creating situations where your paths cross, placing themselves in your periphery with enough consistency that their presence registers without announcing itself as deliberate, making themselves known in ways that feel organic rather than calculated, watching to see how you respond, reading every micro response with an attention to detail that rivals your own. And here is the thing that makes this genuinely interesting. You have noticed, maybe not consciously, maybe not in a way you have fully allowed yourself to examine, but somewhere beneath the surface of your daily awareness, something has registered the pattern. Something in you has clocked the consistency, the deliberateness, the quality of attention coming from a specific direction, and filed it somewhere that is not quite the unconscious, but is not yet the fully conscious either. That filing is about to become something you can no longer ignore. I want to pause here and ask you something real. Is there someone in your life right now who makes the air feel different when they are in it? Not necessarily someone you have spoken to at length, not necessarily someone whose intention toward you has been made explicit, but someone whose presence in a room or a conversation, or even just your awareness, carries a specific quality of electricity that is unlike what most people generate. Someone who looks at you like they are reading something that most people do not even know is written there. Tell me in the comments, tell me who comes to mind as you sit with that question. Tell me if the energy of this reading is landing on someone specific for you, because I want to know. And the community here holds these things with real care. There is a final layer to this reading that I have been circling, and I think it is time to move directly into it, because this is not simply a reading about someone who is watching you, wanting you, engineering their way closer to you. It is a reading about what happens when two people of equal and genuinely formidable energy finally stop circling and face each other directly. And I want to describe what that looks like in the images in front of me. I see the two figures from the beginning of this reading, still in that dimly lit room, still on opposite sides of the charged space between them. But something has changed. The distance is smaller, not dramatically, not all at once, but one of the figures has moved slightly enough in the direction of the other, and the other figure has not retreated, has not recalibrated back to the safer distance, has held their ground, and in holding their ground has communicated something that needed no words. I am not afraid of what you are. I see you clearly, and I am not diminished by what I see. I am not destabilized by your power or your watchfulness or the particular intensity of what you bring. I am, if anything, more interested than I was before I saw it clearly. That exchange, that wordless communication of mutual recognition and mutual unflinching is the beginning of something that has very little precedent in either of your lives. Because people of this particular kind of energy, people who carry this much presence and this much depth and this much carefully contained fire, rarely encounter each other. They move through the world surrounded by people who are drawn to them but not quite matched to them, who want them but cannot fully hold them, who see part of the picture but not the whole thing. And then occasionally, rarely, in the particular way that things happen when the timing is actually right rather than just convenient, they find each other. Virgo, I want to speak to you very directly as we move toward the close of this reading. You are someone who has learned through real experience with real consequences to be careful about where you bring the full force of what you are. You have understood, perhaps for a long time, that not every person who is drawn to your light has the capacity to be near it without either being overwhelmed by it or trying to manage it into something smaller and more comfortable for them. And that understanding has made you selective, rightly so. But what I want to offer you in this moment is this. The person whose energy is moving through this reading, the one watching from the edge of the light, the one engineering proximity, the one losing sleep over the question of who you are going to be, they are not asking you to make yourself smaller. They are not drawn to you in spite of the intensity of what you carry. They are drawn to you because of it, because they recognize in you something that they recognize in themselves. Because the very things that have made other people uncertain around you, the precision, the depth, the fire held carefully, the standards that do not bend, the intelligence that does not perform, are the exact things that make you impossible for this person to walk away from. This is not someone who needs you to be careful around them. This is someone who can hold the full size of what you are, and that for someone who has spent a significant portion of their life being subtly too much for the people who claim to want them is not a small thing. That is actually quietly everything. So the question the title is asking, good or bad, baby? The question this person is sitting with in the private space of their own wanting, let me reframe it for you. The question is not really about good or bad. The question is whether you are going to let this be real, whether you are going to allow yourself to step fully into the energy of a dynamic that matches you in a way that most dynamics have not, whether you are going to trust what you have been sensing in that not quite conscious filing system of yours about who this person is and what they are bringing, whether you are going to make a move on your side of the chessboard, not because they deserve it automatically, not without your eyes open and your own intelligence fully engaged, but from the part of you that already knows, that has known since the first moment the air changed when this person entered your awareness, that this particular game is one worth playing, with someone who is finally, genuinely playing at your level. If this reading reached you today, if something in the texture of what I described landed somewhere specific and real, leave me something in the comments, a word, a name, a feeling you cannot quite translate into language but want to put somewhere outside of yourself. This space holds it. I am here. I read everything, and I will see you in the next one.